The dollar is getting hammered and gold is breaking another record. Let's talk about what's happening with gold and silver and the dollar in this video and try to figure out what's next for the precious metals as we explore. It is never a dull moment in the summer of 2025, even through a time of relative calm in the precious metal markets. Both gold and silver have been up, trading up for the most of the summer. Now, I think the summer is pretty much over in terms of the doldrums, as we are starting to see a situation where it doesn't seem like there's much that can stop gold and silver at this point, although there is, and it should be expected at some point in time. I don't know when, but just keep in mind that these things always run in cycles, but nonetheless, we can celebrate every day that we see a solidification of support for both metals. Right now, with gold now trading comfortably above $3,600 an ounce, well, the best kind of gold to buy is fractional. And my friends at Summit Metals still have really good deals for fractional gold. And there may be also time for profit taking for you as well. If you want to sell, check out their Sell to Us portion of the website. And you can get a better deal than what they list there if you mention my name, Sal or Salivate Metal, and let them know that this channel sent you, and they will quote you a better price. But I'm not encouraging you to sell only unless there is a real profit that can work for you. But there's something about having a core stack in your possession to protect you throughout your journey as a stacker, as a somebody who becomes their own central bank with gold and silver. We're seeing gold prices break through that $3,600 mark, and this is something that we're seeing on a weekend dollar, which has reached a 6-week low. I'm going to get into that in a moment. But first, I want to report to you what's going on with the markets now. Everything is in the green right now. After overnight in the Asian markets, we saw them pull back slightly. But we can see now the gold is up over 1.3% right now, moments before these markets close at $3,636.40. It's up $49.10. It did reach a high of $3,647.30 earlier in the day, and getting closer to $3,700 an ounce. It's crazy. Silver is up 31 cents a day, of a 0.75% increase. Not doing as well as gold, by the way, which means that in that sense, silver really still is in trouble, as I had predicted in an earlier video. Yes, it's going up, but it's really being dragged at this point by gold, as the gold to silver ratio has widened now to, let me see here if I can get this, to 88.13. It should be narrowing, because silver is more volatile, which means that in times like this, it should be outperforming gold, and it has not been the last few trading days, on the way down and on the way up. Platinum is also near $1,400 an ounce. It's up 0.8%, up $11. Palladium had the best day of all the metals. It's up $30 a day. But even rhodium had a $75 increase, a 1% climb for that metal. So it's fascinating to see these metals move yet again today. So what's behind it? Well, I'm going to be referencing an article here from Atsuko White House. Spot gold has jumped and today, heading for a second consecutive session record at London's afternoon benchmarking auction. Following news of the weakest U.S. jobs growth that we saw on Friday, we're still seeing the repercussions of that, the ripple effects in the markets. And the odds of 3 rate cuts by the end of 2025 now has risen to over 74% collectively on Monday, which is up from 40% a week ago after the soft non-farm payrolls data, according to the CME Derivatives Exchange, the Fed Watch tool. And the dollar index, a measure of the U.S. currency's value versus major peers, edged lower to its weakest session since the 25th of July as markets weighed rising expectations of a Federal Reserve rate cuts amid concerns about the stuff with the Federal Reserve. I think that's sort of a misnomer. I don't think they're that worried about it. Trump and that board governor, there's some real trouble there. And I don't think, no matter who is in that position, I don't think it's going to impact too much, even if she ends up staying there or goes back. I know that there was talk that she may refuse to resign. But nonetheless, the dollar index now is sitting down 0.41 to 97.46, so we're in the 97 range again. There's a chance that the dollar index could weaken even more into the 96 range. Donald Trump has mentioned in this first administration that he's okay and actually really wants a weaker dollar. And a weaker dollar means that there's more chance for leverage with other countries to make things more even-keeled. And I think that's a negotiating tool that I think he had in the first administration that he wants to use again now. We'll see here. But we're seeing this situation now where the debt is over $37 trillion, and the Federal Reserve is still printing money. And what we're seeing now with this, a weakening of the U.S. dollar has been fallen about 10.7% since Donald Trump took office. And that weakening of the dollar is what leading to gold and silver prices rising. And the dollar is losing favor amid factors such as the tariff policies, which are still being worked out now. There's still exemptions and things being talked about, and bullion has been exempt, but there's really still some fine details. Even just recently, the latest news is that Donald Trump is going to be exempting some bullion-related items with regards to India. And there's been some clarifications on gold, but not so much with silver. So there's concerns there. And even if they are totally exempt, no matter what, even for manufacturing, because 60% of annual demand is for industrial uses, and so that is part of what has caused silver to rise up. But notwithstanding that increase in price, and is amid concerns about tariffs that are going to affect the overall economy. And not necessarily because gold and silver are exempt in every way, including industrial grade silver. Even if that's totally exempt, it's the economic repercussions. Yes, we do have a higher GDP, well over 3% now. That's good, but there's some concerns. There's still some cracks in the economy. Inflation is still persistent. So the Federal Reserve is going to be lowering rates amidst inflation that's just outside the Fed's control. It's over 2%. And so I think that the Treasury Secretary, the President, and the Federal Reserve are betting on inflation, hopefully coming back a little bit. But I think it means it's probably going to continue to stay where it is, if not increase a little bit, with rates being cut. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But one thing is for sure, we're seeing gold and silver rise so much here, with gold breaking that new record. And remember, folks, when I talk about gold breaking a record, it's not just in nominal dollars. We're talking about real dollars. In other words, adjusted for inflation. Silver and platinum have such a long way to go to reach their record high that many people are really frustrated, even now with silver posting here at over $41 and nearing $42. What is next? Why isn't silver performing better compared to gold? Well, the big reason is because gold is being propped up by what central banks are doing. And I recently reported on this channel that El Salvador is now buying gold again for the first time since 1990. This is a big deal. Even though they didn't even purchase a half a ton, that's still a big deal for a bank, for a Western nation, to be able to get gold into their central bank. That's telling us something, folks. We get more smaller nations like this doing that and buying gold. That's going to send a very, very powerful message here. And so, good news if you have been holding on to your silver and gold for a long time. You're starting to see some results, although silver is still slow to the punch. So what's next for these metals? Well, I think that silver still may be in a little bit of trouble, even if it continues to increase in price, because it's not performing as fast as gold. But remember, what's propping up gold is because it is treasured by the central banks. And also with the Federal Reserve, we know they're going to be cutting rates, and the cutting of those rates is now making itself even more known as we get closer to that September 17th meeting. With when I last had reported on this, the Federal Reserve rather was going to, according to the probabilities, it was a 10% or just over 10% probability that they would cut rates by a half a point on September the 17th. That has now risen now to 11.6%, with 88.4% believing that they're going to cut rates by a quarter point. That is very important. Even though it's a small increase, it is showing that there is a chance that they could cut it by that half point. That's a big deal. I'm going to discuss that probably in another video. Stay tuned for that. But notwithstanding, we're keeping an eye on this, and there's nobody, not a single soul, according to this statistics, that this survey that believes they're going to leave rates unchanged right now. That can only be good for gold and silver, which means that at the very least we're going to be solidifying the support for both these metals. And even when adjusted for inflation, that means that record high for gold, even if it falls back into the $3,500 range, which we could see some consolidation, some profit taking in the markets. That happens, and we will continue to see that, but there's some strength showing for gold and silver right now. It's just that the silver's got such a long way to go. So there you have it. There's your market report. I like to do these for you, and I report on the news, analysis, and other topics with relation to precious metals every single day. So if you enjoy what I do here, I hope you will consider subscribing to the channel. We just passed 99,000. Hope to get to 100,000 soon. And so with that, I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to each and every one of you for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.